Hi everyone, welcome to the Scrapbooking Photographer. This is Lynda and I am here today taking part in Mix It Up Monday. Mix It Up Monday is a YouTube hop run by Peace Love Craft Clubhouse, and this month we are given this sketch to work with. So because it's called Mix It Up Monday, we are combining traditional scrapbooking skills with new mixed media type ideas, and so this sketch calls for one photo. So what I have decided to work with is this one photo here, which is of me and Jasper and Pippa, and this was taken some time ago as a profile shot for my pet photography business, and my son took this in the Taitua Arboretum. So that's my one photo, and I'm not quite sure what sort of mixed media I'm going to do at this stage. I'll see how it comes together, but I've grabbed out a few stencils that might work, and I've also got a piece of paper which is very similar to what the sketch uses, which is a little bit of a coincidence, but this is from the Cape Cod collection, which is a current release from Close to My Heart. On the other side it has some beautiful leaves, but this, the woody look kind of blended in well, and it's quite nicely toned for my dogs. So let's see how that goes as a background. Now I thought that this sketch, I quite liked these little bits on the end, so I found a couple of colours which I think will go together. These ones here. So I've pulled this colour in from what I'm wearing in the photo, and the blue comes from my hat. And these ones are sort of a little bit blended with the background, but also fairly neutral to come into contrast with these two here. So those are going to be my arrow type ideas, and then I'll use this colour behind the photo because that will just help it to pop. And the vellum has also got leaves on it, which will combine nicely with any stenciling work that I do. So let's put the basic thing together. First up, we have to make these pieces. So it looks like one strip is wider than the other, and that's the same in both situations. So we'll start off by cutting some strips out. I'm thinking I'm going to use a wider strip of that and a narrower of that one, and just tip it with these ones, and I might do the bottom the other way around. So we can get rid of that piece because we actually don't need to do anything to that. Okay, so I've brought the trimmer in, and I think for the first strip we'll go 1.5 or maybe 2. And I think we'll do this one because I don't have a longer strip of the scarlet out, and I'm trying to do this by using scraps. Okay, so I'm just going to make these strips, and then I'll make some narrower ones, and that will give us a decent option to play with. Okay, so I think these combinations go quite nicely. I'm going to use these as the narrow strip and these as the wider ones. So what I'm going to do now is get the dovetail at the end of it. And so to do that and get them both the same, I'm going to just make them together, put them on my mat, if you can see that. We know they're 1 inch, so we're going to go 1/2 inch and in 1/2 inch, which we can measure on the grid. And then I'm cutting both thicknesses at the same time through here. And then when they're done, we can just move it down, and we've got that nice edge. And that's how we get them exactly the same. So I'll do the same with these wider ones. What, 2 inches, so we go down 1.5, and we're just going to go the same distance as we did on the smaller one, so 1/2 inch in. We'll see what that looks like. I might have to redo it to make it even, but it's all about trying, isn't it? And then again we can just slip that along, and we've got our matching dovetails. Right, so let's bring in the background piece. It doesn't matter which way round we go, so we'll just have a little bit of a play. Bring it down a bit. I might have to swap those around because I haven't got a longer piece of that. So if we do that, and then I can trim that off and use that piece down the bottom, and so I'll stick that down. Okay, so I'm just going to mix it up a bit down the bottom. So I've got a narrow of these two colours, so I will just put those together down the bottom and do the same sort of thing with the dovetail. And then in the wider ones we have the pewter and the scarlet. Okay, and then I'll just tidy these bits up. Okay, right, so before I stick any of that down, I need to get an idea of perspective. So we're going to come in and mount this photo, and we're going to mount it in here. I'm going to take a little bit off the top and bottom. Okay, so that fits nicely on there, and then I can stick that down and crop it. Okay, now underneath that we've got a piece of vellum, so we'll bring that in next. You need quite a bit of a width around it if you're using vellum, because you want to be able to see it and have that effect of it being a little bit transparent over whatever's underneath. Okay, so that's got that on there, and I'll just put a little bit of sticky on it, keep it in place. Okay, so next on the sketch is a longer piece that's going to go underneath all of that. And so instead of the craft type paper they've got on there, I'm going to use a piece of this darker brown, which kind of blends in better with the theme of what I'm doing. I'll put that in here, and it's kind of about there. So I need to rip it the right way because I want the white on the piece I'm using, and that ripping it that way just exposes the core. Okay, so that gives us an idea then of where we can put the strips. So I'm happy with the way that works, so I'm going to stick this on here first, but only put sticky at the top because it's not ready to go onto the bottom yet. Okay, so that really shows up those details in the leaves a lot better. That's cool. That's how we're going to go. There's a little bit of room down here for some journaling, and I think I'll put a journaling box here and a title up here. But I do need to add in some mixed media. So before I stick any of that actually to the page, I'm going to just put a few stencils in behind. So before that, I'm just going to trim these. Often I find that when you take everything away, you can never quite get it back the way you want it. So I'm just going to take a quick photo. So now I've got it on my iPad, I can take all of this stuff off, and I will have a record of where it comes back to. I've got some different stencils here. I think the heart one is a definite. I'll use that last because it's smallest. So we're working up in size. These leaves are pretty cool as well. And I had some trees here, but I think that might be a bit much. Put those to one side, and I'll start with these big leaves. Okay, so to do the leaves, we're just going to put a few leaves kind of creeping up here, and I'm going to use the pine ink so that it contrasts with the background paper and also blends in with the papers that we've got on the top, and also with the photo. So I'm not going to stick the stencil down, I'm just going to hold it and just gently put some colour on with the blending brush. Now this stencil has different sizes on it, so I'm just going to use a couple of different sizes so that it's kind of getting smaller as it goes up this way. Of course, stencils, you can use both sides of the stencil, but if you do turn it over to get things going in a different direction, you do need to make sure that you clean the stencil first, because otherwise you'll get all the marks on your beautiful piece of paper. So I'm not going to do that, I'll just put this one up in this corner. Now, just to get an idea of what we're doing here, we'll bring this back in, and that works well. But before I stick everything down, I just want to add some of these little hearts and some texture paste. Okay, so we've got some texture paste here. I'll just grab some and put it on my multi-purpose mat. It's fair to say I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't doing it for Mix It Up Monday. So this is the beauty of doing these hops and taking part, because it does stretch you to do things you wouldn't normally do. Now I'm mixing this texture paste with Scarlet ink so that it blends a little bit with the scarlet paper that we're including in the dovetails and the tags. So it always comes up a little bit lighter than the colour itself, but I think it will blend all right anyway. Okay, so the stencil is here. Now I want the hearts just to kind of be in little patches. So I'll just grab some paste and put it through without worrying about whether it covers everything or not. I've got a bit left over there, so I'll see if I can put it somewhere else. Actually, I'll just put a few more down here. We're doing a little journaling box here. That gives us a nice kind of a triangle of them. So what can I do with all of this that's left over? I'll clean it off my stencil as best I can. I'll just move that to one side. And if I bring these short pieces in here that are going to be down the bottom, these pieces, I'm just going to put a few more on here. As much as I can with the with what's left over. rest will have to be wasted, I'm afraid. So putting the lid back on the texture paste, my Glad wrap is getting a little thin, but if I double it over it will do a couple more goes, and that just helps to keep the moisture in the jar rather than having it all dry out, given that it's not something I use every day. So here is our background page with a little bit of stenciling and a little bit of texture added. So you can see that this is going to work all right. It's not quite dry, so I shouldn't be fiddling. But I'm pretty keen to see how it works out. So we need to do a little bit of, do a heading up here and a little tiny little bit of journaling down here. Okay, so for the journaling I'll just write on here, I think, because it's light enough for me to be able to do that. Okay, so for the heading I'm going to call it profile photo because that's what it was. So for the alphabet I'm using Morgan's Hand alphabet, which isn't available anymore, but it is a lovely scripty sort of alphabet. So I'll see how that comes together. I haven't stuck any of that down yet. I'm just waiting for things to dry a little bit more. So I'll just move it out of the way while I put these letters together. I might need the board, so I'll just pop these letters on here. Okay, so you can see I've got profile there. So I'll get rid of these out of the way. Turn the Versamat over because it's always good to stamp on the sponge side. Then I'll just bring this in here and it's going to fit nicely up there. And to match this colour, I'm going to use that darker tone of mocha. Cool. And then we just need photo. Okay, so we're going to need 2 O's. So what I'm going to do is do these ones first and then add the extra one. And I'm going to come as far, whoops, a bit much on the block there, so I'll wipe that off with my chamois. Okay. Right, so we'll just come over as far as we can. And we just need to do the O. So I'll put that on a smaller block to make it easier to get it in the right place. And it will fit just nicely, oops, nicely there. So I think we will turn this Versamat over and now we can start sticking these things down. And just to be on the safe side, I'm going to put the sticky onto the page rather than turn this over and risk smudging that, just in case it's not quite dry. Okay, and this small bit hasn't got anything on it, so I can easily use that there. Now, just getting this placement right here, because we stuck this together before, we know that that is going to go together, and I just need it to come in from here. I want that there, so I'm just going to put that in there with a few, with the same sort of idea, sticking onto the page rather than onto the back of the piece. Don't want to rub the hearts. Now that should be straight, but I can use the grid to make sure by having the top lined up just above the 6, and yeah, so that's cool. Okay, now this one is going to come in somewhere here, so our parameters are to fit in around that bit and also to fit there. So that looks quite good, and you get the edge of the leaf there, but I've still got this piece to put in, and I might just put that in up the top there, which helps to underline that profile bit there. Right. Okay, and then this one, I'm just going to make sure that your tape doesn't go underneath the vellum, because it doesn't ever have a good look. Cool. Okay, so I've done a little bit of journaling there, and I'll just add a few of these sprigs that just blend in, being the same colour, sort of colour there. So I'm just going to dot a few of these around. Now this one is not quite the right, it's kind of fallen apart a bit, so I might just tuck him underneath here. I think we need a few gems. Got these pine coloured ones here, which I think will work quite nicely, just to bring a third piece of this green in down here. I'm just going to pop it on the vellum actually. Yeah, I couldn't finish it really without putting a little paw print on there. So get out my good old favourite stamp, and I'm just going to pop a little paw print in there, tone on tone. Just going to pop it there next to the end of the word photo. And that's in the mocha as well, so it's, as I say, tone on tone. And I might just put two more down here. I do like this stamp. One there, and one there. And we're done. So there's my finished page. It's a little bit different to the sketch when you go back in and have a look, but the sketch has provided a lot of inspiration to bring about the rest of it. So I'm really happy with what I've done. Have a look at what everybody else has come up with for this month's Mix It Up Monday. I'm sure you'll find lots of different variations of the same sketch. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed what you saw today. If you are a subscriber already, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. If not, then perhaps you've enjoyed this enough to hit that subscribe button and make sure that you see what comes up next. Thanks very much, everybody. Happy crafting.